What's up, team? It's Dave, your head coach at Cliffhanger Academy, coming to another Psychology Fitness Lab episode. And today we're going to combine two of these kind of what we would think of maybe disparate categories in our lives and make them come together and show that how we can be really successful in one can demonstrate how we can be really successful in the other. And now what I'm talking about is our daily habits and our finances. Our daily habits and our finances. Now, finances are not something that I'm an expert in by any means, and actually I've been kind of playing, I would say, I guess the emu, sticking their head in the sand when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I didn't really want to take my finances that seriously. And that was unfortunately for a longer time than I wanted to. But I've done that work to get over that, and so that's saving that for another time that we'll share. But one thing I've been really strong at my entire life are my habits, and especially my daily habits, my high-performing habits now, and now the things that I do for morning ritual and evening ritual. And one of the things I didn't realize is that how my finances and my habits are interlinked, intertwined. How things I do in my habits, my daily habits, can actually help me in my finances, and how what most people know basically about their finances can help them in their daily habits. Now, what are these two things? Aggregating and compounding. Aggregating and compounding. So what does that mean? Aggregating and compounding basically mean that when you aggregate, you're putting everything together. And then when you compound, it builds on on top of one another. So in financial terms, aggregating means that you're putting all like your savings, you're putting your 10% into one thing, and as it grows, you know, maybe your percent return is 1%, 5%, 10%, whatever that is, you keep that money in there. And now what that money starts doing is now that $10,000 investment that you have is growing at 10% a year, you know, 1,000. Now you have, it's growing at 10% by 1,000 instead of 10% by 10,000. So that's aggregating and compounding, you know, very simply. Your money aggregates and compounds. You have way more money in 10 years than you possibly would have had if you kept taking money out. Now, the same thing is true for our habits. Our habits aggregate and compound over time as well. And this is where it comes into the really simple habits that we have. Little things like having a glass of water when you first wake up in the morning, reading something inspirational, you know, making your bed, making time for 15 to 20 minutes of meditation, making time for, you know, 20 to 30 minutes of movement. These habits, high-performing habits actually, will aggregate and compound over time. And one of the cool things I thought about this in this math I got from Brian Johnson at Optimize, which was incredible when he put this out there, is that we only need to aggregate and compound these habits by 1% a day. 1%. This is something we talk about Cliffhanger Academy called the power of the 1%. We'll talk about another time. But the power of the 1% and how this works is that if you aggregate and compound your daily habits, like you're growing 1% a day, over 45 to 60 days, you're 100% better than when you started. Now, 100% better is pretty friggin' awesome. But here's where it gets really crazy. If you aggregate and compound 1% growth in your habits over 365 days, so just a calendar year, you are 30x better than when you started. 30x. Now, like, that sounds astronomical, literally mind-blowing. Like, we all talk about, you know, 10x. Grant Cardone's all about 10x, 10x, 10x this. We all want a 10x. What if you get 30x? Like, what does 30x of you even look like in your health? What does a 30x body look like to you? What does a 30x financial life look for you? A 30x salary, a 30x showing up in your career, 30x growth in your portfolio. What does 30x look like in relationships? Who are you showing up at 30 frigging X? I literally don't know. You know, this is part of my vision board that I look at every day, but that's what maybe my 30x is, but I still think I'm way off of that. So team, I want you to think about aggregating and compounding your daily habits, and they don't have to be so crazy. Like for me, for example, I drink a 20-ounce glass of water in the morning that has sea salt in it, lemon, and ginger. Now, maybe you don't start off with that because it's a lot to drink. You're like, ugh. Maybe you start off with 5 ounces just of plain water. And then maybe next week you do up to 6 ounces and 7 ounces. And next thing you know, you're at 10 or 20, and then you're putting a dab of ginger in there, and then a little bit of sea salt. The next thing you know, like this 1% growth, you're at the place where I am. We're downing a 20-ounce glass of water with sea salt, lemon, and ginger in it. And I'm doing my shot of apple cider vinegar, which I still don't like, but I still do it because I know it's good for me. That's what I want you to think about in your habits, in your health we just talked about, in your habits, in your wealth. What if you start showing up to work a minute early every day? And the next thing you know, it's 5 minutes, it's 10 minutes, it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes. People start noticing that you're there earlier. You're there before them. Your boss starts noticing, like, hey, this guy, this girl, she's showing up. What would that mean for you in your work environment to be viewed that way? And just doing it 1% a day, 1 minute, maybe it's 1 minute a week, 5 minutes a week. What about your relationships? What if you were able to show up 1% better in your relationships? Just a little bit, maybe it's sending just a little text to that partner of yours and saying that you love them or you miss them. Or maybe it's cleaning the dishes after dinner one night. Or it's taking them out to a nice restaurant. Maybe just something simple that I love to do is leaving little notes for my partner when she travels, that when she opens up her makeup kit, there's a little tiny note from me in there. Or she opens up her bag and there's like a funny little thing in there. These are the little things that you and I can do on a daily basis that are just 1% growth habits, and watch those things aggregate and compound over the course of a year, and you're 30x. But let it start with today, team. Let it start today with that 1% growth, and see how you can aggregate and compound your daily habits to get you to where you really want to be. I think you're going to be blown away with the progress that you'll be able to make in that, and you'll be almost unrecognizable in a year if you can keep this up, this 1% growth over the time. So team, let us know how this is resonating with you. Hit us in those comments below and let us know what habits that you want to change and what are the habits that you're making changes in, so that you're going to aggregate and compound your life so you can get to that 30x levels way sooner than you ever thought. Well, team, that's it from us here today at the Psychology Fitness Lab. We are stoked that you guys are still with us. We're stoked you guys gave us this time today. Want to make sure that you give us a thumbs up and a subscribe so you don't miss any of the content we have coming out, because we're releasing new content every single week. Make sure you're leaving us some questions, comments, and concerns if you have any of those QCCs, anything we talked about today in the Psychology Fitness Lab. And of course, team, make sure you DM us if there's any subjects that you want us to cover at the Psychology Fitness Lab regarding psychology fitness. Team, we're all about here at the Psychology Fitness Lab and Cliffhanger Academy about creating content so you can use psychology fitness to train your brain, your body, and your breath as one to help you get to that next level in your health, your wealth, and your relationships, and start living that limitless lifestyle that you deserve.